Hello everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. This is ChannelVision editor Gerald Baldino here, and today we're with NHC for a presentation on the changing communications landscape. Over the next hour, we'll explore some of the solutions that are generating the most interest and selling big in 2021. Joining us today from NHC is Glen Nelson, who is partner and VP of Marketing and Business Development, and Eric Hammare, who is VP of Sales. Please stay tuned for a Q&A session at the end of the presentation. And if you have any questions at all during the event, you can submit them through the Q&A button located at the bottom of the Zoom platform. At this point, let's turn the webinar over to Glen to kick things off. Glen?
Thank you, Gerald. So we're going to talk about a few things. We'll do a little bit of a plug for NHC. We'll talk about our selling technique and how we use a concept that we came up with called the stack. And we'll discuss kind of what customers are buying. So similar to a webinar that I did with my associate Chris Susi last fall on work from home, my part of it's going to be talking about some of the research reports and some of the really exciting studies that are out from a macro level, talking about some of the things that are hot topics for 2021. And then we'll follow that through with a presentation from our VP of Sales, Eric Hammare, who will talk about some real world success stories that we've had. And he'll finish with some of the hot topics for 21 that we see. And we'll, in addition to that, we'll take some questions. So a couple of things. Let's talk a little bit about NHC. We'll do a little bit of a plug here. So we've been around since 2002. We're privately held. The founders of the company and the leadership of the organization, we've been working together north of 25 years together. So we have a great deal of experience in the telecom world. One of the things that we're very proud of in terms of our consistency is we have a very low churn rate, less than 0.5%. We're proud of that. We keep to that. That's good for NHC. It's also good for our agent partners in that there is very little loss of business on our part. Why? Because of the services we offer and because of the stack that we provide for solution sets for our agent partners. We're headquartered in Concord, Massachusetts, a little bit outside Boston. We have a 7x24 by 365 network operations center in Fort Myers, Florida. We also have an operations and engineering facility in Rochester, New York. For about 16 of our 19 years in business, we sort of threw out the phrase CLEC, which is certainly an industry known phrase. That's competitive local exchange carrier. We are proud of the fact that we are a registered CLEC as a telephone utility in 49 states plus DC and have been for many years. And we have to provide a certain amount of fiduciary and reporting with the states to be able to keep that. So we're very proud of that, but we feel that we've moved beyond just calling ourselves a CLEC. We also weren't particularly that happy with the newer phrase of communication service provider. We didn't think that that was all encompassing enough either. So we kind of came up with the idea of communication stack provider, CSP, and sort of a tip off to the 40-year-old OSI 7-layer model, which explains how computers communicate. We wanted to be able to explain both to our customers and our agent partners kind of what are the layers or stacks that we use in order to communicate applications and solutions to our agent partners and to our customers. And so we came up with the stack concept, which we will be getting into in a moment. Also, we sell exclusively through agent partners. We don't have a direct sales organization, and we have done that since 2002. So let's talk a little bit about the stack, something we're very proud of. So the first part of the stack that we see would be network services, and that's kind of everything to do with connectivity. And you kind of sort of look at the aspects of what that connectivity is in today's world, and that's fiber, that's broadband access, that's copper, traditional TDM and copper services. That could be satellite, that could be line of sight, something that's really been emerging now with high-speed internet access line of sight. That is certainly 4G LTE as it exists today, and future road to 5G services, which we're very excited about. And it's also things like legacy voice, POTS lines. Look, we still sell POTS lines. We don't think that's kind of where the future is going, as we'll show you this afternoon in terms of where some of the marketplaces are. but we do provide the service, and we still very much offer those services all day long. So that's kind of on the network services side. That to us is our fundamental first stack sort of applications. Next slide would be overlay. And overlay really is everything that we want to put on now that we've put that access component in. And overlay would include things like our own UCaaS and collaboration tools. We're very proud of the fact that we're a Metaswitch shop. We have our own Metaswitch network. We'll talk about that in a moment. But that would include our UCaaS services, all of our VoIP platform, both the hosted as well as the SIP services, contact center, SD-WAN, we're a big VM shop, firewall, security, and cloud disaster recovery. So those kind of represent the things that we put on the overlay broadband and internet and DIA type services once we've established that. And then the top stack, that's all of the managed services. So that's the real value add additional services. Once we've kind of laid in the network, we've put in our overlay, and now we say, well, maybe the customer wants to have these services managed. And that would be managed WAN, managed voice, managed firewall, managed security. So that's how we sell the stack, and that is, and how we sell the stack, how we quote for it, how we bill for those services, how we order those services, how we repair those services. That is what the entire NHC organization works on. Those are our solutions, and that is how we implement, and we wrap all that around great project management and deliver a very value-added service to our customers. So kind of where are we today? And I think it's been a very rocky road, as we know, from COVID period. But let me say this, I have been in this industry for over 40 years, going back to the days when I was a co-op kid in college and divestiture was occurring. And I've been fortunate enough to have seen many, many trends in our industry, from divestiture, the breakup of the phone companies and all the things that came from that, from the development and rollout of PBXs, and data networking, to the original internet in the mid-90s, selling that, capturing all of that, the dot-com boom, the big reseller boom that happened in the 2000s. Where we're at today is it's great to be in our business, because we're right on the verge of probably the biggest boom our business and our agent community is ever going to see. Okay, whether you believe in the politics or not, post-COVID, we have trillions of dollars of stimulus that's going to drive growth to record levels. Okay, and we put together some research studies this afternoon to kind of show you kind of where that market's going, where we think the money is going, where some of these end users are going to be interested in buying from us. And we see that really as 4 areas. One is work from home solutions of all types. Another one is in UCaaS and collaborations, and I'll add hosted PBX as well. Another one is SD-WAN, and then lastly, it's kind of the core and edge security, booming business, very much evolving. So we're really excited about where we see 21 and in the future in our business. So this was a picture that I actually took off of Cocos Island, about 400 miles off the coast of Costa Rica. And that's a hammerhead shark. And what we would like to say here in terms of the marketplace is it's not all sunshine and rainbows. And that is that there's tremendous opportunity. But we also have to recognize that in our industry and with our agent partners, that the revenue picture continues to shift. Revenue and commissions continue to shift from network access to revenue commissions that are generated from overlay and managed services. So the demand is moving up the stack, and we see this as really a trend which really is never going to turn back to being a big business to be made nothing with network access. We know that both bandwidth size and pricing continue to fall in the network access side, and that the stickiness to a customer lies in overlay services and lies in managed services. Those are key areas. So our agent partners must learn how to sell and credibly account manage those overlay and managed services for their customers. That's what you need in order to capture that tremendous growth that we really see happening, as does all these research companies I'm going to talk about in a moment. The size and the potential of the potential market is vast. It's much bigger than it used to be in our old reseller and aggregator days. And there are many more options, unfortunately, along with that, many more competitors that are swimming around our customers, offering all kinds of subsets of these types of services. So we think that a partner needs to align themselves with a service provider that can bring together the right mix of solutions, tools, and ongoing support. You know, it's going to be an eat or be eaten world, but the rewards are bigger than ever for those who put the time into learning and adapting to this rapidly evolving marketplace. The COVID-19 pandemic shifted the traditional office environment with kind of in-house phone systems, premise-based or private data center, core IT infrastructure to a work from home environment with cloud-centric applications. There's no stopping that took place. Some of it was ad hoc to be able to operate their businesses. Depending upon which report you look at, anywhere from 70 to 85% of the businesses that could go into a work from home environment during the pandemic did so. So a return to kind of pre-COVID levels of working full-time, 5 days a week in an office probably is unlikely to happen in the near future. A recent study that was put out by PwC, a research firm, of 1,200 US office workers, both executives as employers and also employees, between 11/24 and 12/5, and just published last month, said that only 5% of the executives believed that their company culture could survive on a purely remote basis. So that's a very important thing to think about. You know, in terms of 100% work from home, people are a little bit worried about maintaining that culture. 47% of the executives believe that the new norm would be anywhere from 3 to 4 days working in the office. Employees kind of flip that a little bit. They like the fact that maybe they could work at home 3 or 4 days. So there's definitely going to be some going back and forth, but it's unlikely that we'll see a world in which 5 days a week in the office becomes the norm again. So this really permanently changes the center of gravity for business applications. From a secure office environment to the user residential edge. And if you think about that residential edge, in many cases, you're using the home person's broadband, right? So there's lots of issues associated with that. You as a company no longer control that local loop. So we think there's going to be major spending that you'll see both on cloud-based business applications that move from the old data center into a shared cloud environment so that remote workers, frontline workers, all those can get access to it. And we also see that there's going to be major investments spent on collaboration and network security along with that. Next slide, please. So if we're looking at for work from home and cloud-based application spending, a couple of things. Beginning on the left side, this is also a PwC thing in terms of remote work survey, kind of where is the money going to be spent in 21? And down below, we see some big ones. Tools for virtual collaboration, over 70% of the people that were surveyed are going to be doing that. IT infrastructure, secure virtual connectivity, also in the north of 70% range. Training for managers to manage virtual workforces, also very high, on up through to setting up your hoteling and your seating environments for shared office space. And then I think the exciting thing on the certainly on the cloud side is almost sky's the limit. So Edge Computing Marketplace by a research firm called Modar Intelligence, they predict that edge computing will grow at nearly 30% compound annual growth rate between 20 and 26. And that worldwide user spending on all cloud services will grow at 18.4% this year to $304 billion. So huge market potential in terms of the cloud, great amount of growing in terms of what companies are going to invest in on the secure edge. Next slide. So on the cloud PBX side, a couple of things. So demand in 2020 was good. Certainly companies like NHC, we did very well with our hosted PBX and UCaaS business, but it wasn't as good as it could have been. And the reason for that is the shutdown. When you have offices that are not open, it was very difficult to kind of work on converting a customer from a premise-based PBX system to a cloud-based PBX or UCaaS platform without actually being in an office and talking through all the complexity. So it didn't really happen. And in December, Frost & Sullivan released a survey of global IT telecom decision makers that found that 39% of the respondents reported having moved part or all of their enterprise IP telephony into the cloud. And the expectation is that 38% more of that will be doing so within 24 months. So there's a very big push going on the larger system side going into cloud-based. And on the enterprise market, the cloud PBX UCaaS market will continue to prosper. UCaaS has replaced only a small portion of the PBX Centrex installed base of over 400 million worldwide legacy telephony seats today. So the potential really is there for a great deal of growth. But we see it as more than just enterprise level services. So we see two big opportunities in UCaaS that we think are not being taken advantage of yet. And those two things are in the small office and home office environment, 10 employees or less. We see it's a huge opportunity here for the segment. Okay, it needs the functionality that they're not getting today that the big boys have always had, and that is professional auto attendance, business voicemail, text to email collaboration, all available on a mobile or virtual service offering. In the United States alone, for businesses that are 10 or less, that's 90% of all businesses in the United States and 10% of the workforce. There's a huge opportunity that is not being tapped into yet for our UCaaS and collaboration business in the solo environment. Also in the frontline and field workers, we see a tremendous opportunity there as well. So these are folks that never had phones or never had an office environment, but worked remotely, either in the field, construction, et cetera, or also full remote office environments. And what these folks have been living on is they've been living on their cell phones and living on whatever basic phone system they have. By combining the mobility functionality of our CCaaS and UCaaS platform, they're able to really leverage this so that 55% of the respondents report having provided UC or collaboration tools to their frontline workers, and 37% plan to do so over the next 2 years. Both of these are very big opportunities for us to be able to market our UCaaS and our CCaaS businesses. Next slide, please. So in terms of us, in terms of where we're at with Microsoft and Metaswitch, I think it's pretty big. We have over 10 years of experience in the VoIP family of solutions. Okay, we've got over 100,000 endpoints. We are a Meta shop, and as part of a carrier that also offers Meta services, we're one of 330 Metaswitch communications carriers worldwide, with over 30 million installed business lines and 7 million deployed UCaaS seats. So we're very proud of that record, and we're very happy that Microsoft had purchased Metaswitch. It really gives us an opportunity for a lot of future growth together. And I'll just finish on this one with just reading this. This was a very nice quote that was put together by a Microsoft and Metaswitch analyst. Metaswitch's strengths within telco environments complement Microsoft's value proposition in the enterprise space. Metaswitch creates new opportunities for Microsoft to further augment the telco core, 5G, virtual networking, and intelligent edge capabilities. Microsoft's Teams platform has already proven its value among collaboration-centric users. Direct routing will allow Metaswitch users to link Teams users for businesses looking for UCaaS services that address diverse user needs, which is what we think the customers want in this model that they're not necessarily getting purely with Microsoft Teams. And that is a robust PBX feature, voice-centric users, mobile PBX functionality for mobile professionals, frontline workers, and field workers. That to us, we think is the key, as well as bringing in the Microsoft-intensive, highly collaborative user experience for users collaborating extensively with coworkers. So SD-WAN marketplace, a recent study by Dealer Group forecasts a 24% compound annual growth rate over the next 4 years. We see a lot with that happening. We also see that the pandemic caused delays in SD-WAN deployments in 2020, but underlying demand remains very strong. Okay, so we see that there's a lot of opportunity to make up for relatively slow sales in 2020, in 21 and 22. If you look at IDC predicted $5 billion by 2023 with a compound annual growth rate of 31%. Another research firm, SpendEdge, even bumped it up even more, 49%, almost 50% compound annual growth rate to sales of over 11 billion. So suffice it to say, the market researchers out there believe SD-WAN is a booming place to be over the next few years. We still think the market's focused on enterprise customers who are moving from MPLS to SD-WAN. But we also see, just like we saw with the whole hosted PBX marketplace, that there needs to be more of an emphasis now on SD-WAN to the sort of mid-size and smaller marketplace. And I'll say, look, San Jose-based Untangle and Company, we're going to grab a few slides from them. They are a security firm, specializing in network security, and they put together some really interesting research on polling of their customer base, which is all agents. So, this is going to be a nice thing. SD-WAN technologies in 2019 were still emerging as a consideration for small to mid-sized businesses. As we move into 2020, we find that 49% of our partners are learning about the benefits and see the potential for small to medium-sized businesses that make up their clientele. NHC also believes what that Untangle study uncovered as well. So here we see our key benefits, and this is a put together by AT&T, sponsored by with Frost & Sullivan, and a couple of key areas of SD-WAN, the 5 major applications: cost savings, agility and flexibility, improved application performance, faster time to market, visibility and control. We think those are the major 5 aspects. 78% of the folks that they had polled in this study, with between 201 and 500 seats, expect to deploy SD-WAN over the next 24 months. 59% of the lower market, that's 51 to 200 sites, expect to deploy it as well. We also see a big trend. 54% of IT decision makers indicated that they prefer a managed SD-WAN solution. And managed is really defined as the service provider installs and manages the edge devices, procures and manages access links from multiple providers, and manages the day-to-day network management aspects of the solution. This we think is very important to understand. And lastly, on this slide, I'll just bring up a few points on the access side with SD-WAN. They polled 52 existing SD-WAN network customers and 215 planned. And they said, well, pretty much of a split between MPLS internet today, 38, with adding internet and 4G LTE, which we see as really a big trend moving to 5G. Only 29% of the existing, but 44% of the plan intended to have a mobility alternative. And also we see a decline in Ethernet, in traditional Ethernet and internet, 47 and 56 respectively. And lastly, we see the bulk of the new business associated with SD-WAN, which we certainly have found the same way. About 58% of new customers plan to use dual internet links. That would be a broadband and a DIA. So the only thing with SD-WAN that I would be concerned about, that we want to point out to our folks that are on the line here and hopefully some of our agent customers, this was a survey also done by Untangle, again, of their base of agents. And they found the following in terms of actually selling SD-WAN. Only 7% love it and use it. 18% say it's great for enterprises, but not for their customers. We would like to disagree with that. But really, you look at 26%, so they don't know very much about it, and 49% say they're still learning the benefits. That's 75% of their agent base does not understand how to sell SD-WAN. We believe that this is a problem and that all of our agent partners need to be familiar with this technology and need to be familiar with the offerings that are provided by organizations like NHC. So cybersecurity, this is our last topic in terms of what's out there for marketplace. We think 85% of the agents, partners believe that demand will increase for cybersecurity products. This is another Untangle survey. 70% saw an increase in inquiries following the news of major ransomware attacks. We see those all the time. We've seen them already this year. So we see lots of customer interest saying, hey, what do you guys have to prevent me from getting something that happened to some other company down the street? And that we see that these areas are things that their agents want to be able to have in their portfolio. And these types of security things are things that NHC is working on. We're not necessarily saying we're going to offer all these things. We are planning to do a lot of announcements regarding some of our core and edge security products over the next few months. So I'm not going to take any wind out of anybody else's sails. But in this study, they said identity and access management was very important. Risk and compliance management was very important. Data loss prevention was very important. Intrusion detection, very important. Encryption, patch management, VPN connectivity, et cetera. So we think that these are areas that agent partners want to be able to offer to their customers because their customers are asking. And I'll finish my side up by simply showing you some crazy hockey stick spending. This was a recent study put on by Gartner Group. It talks about the security potential for spending, IT spending in 19 and 20, and I could say that 21 is definitely going to go way up. In 2020, we were at $64.27 billion spent on security services. And you can see this line, it worked its way down. Network security, 11.6 billion. You can see in each of these categories, it's pretty much gone up. Infrastructure protection, 17.48 billion. So despite the pandemic and all of the other things, we see, as well as the market research folks see, a tremendous surge to offering more types of managed security services. So with that, I'll turn this over. Next slide, please. We'll turn this over to Eric Hammare, who will talk about some real world examples.
So this is the first case study we're going to talk about. This was a customer that was in the need of getting unified communications delivered fast. From a business profile, this is an international entertainment contracting company. This organization specialized in managing, constructing scenery, architecture, and things like that for short-term productions, movies, theaters, and such. Pre-COVID, before everything that happened from the pandemic, traditionally the organization deployed all their physical employees that sat here domestically in the United States. They flew them all across the country and in the world in order to go on site and to manage a lot of the production and such. So the customer really was facing two challenges. First and foremost, a longtime partner of ours was in a bind. They needed to come up with a solution for their customer fast. This thing needed to be deployed and it needed to be trained in a matter of days. Next, the customer was sitting and leveraging a phone system that was not geared to support remote operations. So they needed a full system replacement, something that would allow for them to be able to manage the new business needs. Next slide, please. So the NHC solution. So our project management team worked very closely with the partner and the customer to deploy unified communications for both the desktop and mobile users company-wide. The organization leveraged the voice, video, chat, and text and SMS capabilities so that they could communicate thoroughly and effectively with all the remote contractors, because they leveraged local specialized craftsmen and craftswomen that would do all the setup and building and such. So what were the benefits for this? So obviously we were able to deploy it fast, and the customer was able to maintain all their schedules and their business operations. And not that money is always the most important thing, but this solution, this opportunity, we identified it, we quoted it, we sold it, we implemented it, and we sent it to bill in a matter of 5 days. So from a partner perspective, that equals really, really fast commissions. So this case study is a little bit different. This was a full technology refresh. This was an international adoption agency. Once again, they were headquartered here in the Massachusetts, but they, domestically in Massachusetts, but they support global welfare, child welfare programs. And one of the things that was important was them is make sure they had timely and compliant communications with their employees as well as the prospective families. Customers facing some challenges as well, right? Similar to the last organization, they needed to adjust to being more virtual. They were still utilizing a legacy phone system, and they haven't updated their technology in many years. So it really wasn't promoted well for the work from home user. They also didn't have a full-time IT staff. So the partner that managed their IT, a lot of times it was break fix. They had to go on site for doing management, I said before, because they haven't done it in 10 years. And last but not least, budgets. This is a nonprofit, so budgets were very, very important to them. So we needed to make sure whatever solution we deployed and designed kept them within their budgets. Next slide, please. So let's talk about the solution. This was a full stack solution from network overlay and management. First and foremost, we were actually able to save them some money. They were leveraging a legacy integrated voice and data circuit. We swapped that out for GPON, and then we also replaced their cable broadband circuit that was out of contract with a new NHC provided cable broadband circuit to reduce some costs. We deployed unified communications for all the users, so it allowed them to work at home with ease. They leveraged the internal communications for chat so their employees stayed up to date. They leveraged video collaboration for all the families. And then, like a lot of users, texting and SMS is such an important part of communications. They had that functionality within the unified communications. Deployed all brand new managed PoE switches, gig capable. We deployed SD-WAN so we could manage the multiple ISP circuits that NHC deployed. Virtual firewall to protect and secure the 50 or so users throughout the organization, and also a compliant eFax solution. They were leveraging a legacy fax machine that was local within the brick and mortar location, and we deployed an eFax solution that did give them the compliancy that they required for sending important documents. And one of the things that was really important to our partner was the co-management solution. The project management team that they worked with to deploy this was a relationship that has been in place for a very, very long time. But after the solution was handed off, it does become co-managed. So we have GUIs in place where the partner was able to maintain the orchestrator, maintain the firewall security, manage the unified communication users, as well as the customer did have access to New Horizons as well. The co-managed solution was very, very important to them so they can maintain the management of the network. Next slide, please. So the solution benefits. So we implemented a full scalable solution that allowed for them to handle the work from home. We upgraded all aspects of the network, starting off with the connectivity, introducing all new PoE switches when we optimized everything with the SD-WAN and the virtual network firewall. We gave them the compliant enterprise fax solution. We were able to do all this by maintaining budgets, and we wrapped it around with the New Horizons support model. Single point of contact, access to our management access portal, one phone number to call when they have issues, also with the New Horizon bill. All these solutions all on one single bill. So I talked about a unified communication and a full stack, but what are the other things that our partners are selling? First and foremost, network connectivity. NHC, we built our bones off of being an aggregator. Be it a single site, multi ISPs, multi products, if you needed primary, secondary, tertiary, or if it was multi-site and you're aggregating all these locations together. Regardless though, the demand is at an all-time high for internet. People need to connect to the cloud. And in doing so, you typically need more bandwidth. Bandwidth is so affordable at this time. I'm seeing partners, upgrading customers from 50, 100 meg to gig and multi-gig without necessarily even increasing costs. And also, we'll be announcing soon, we are now regulated to operate into Canada as well. Next would be access to the public clouds. NHC is a very proud VMware partner. We leverage their technology to give ease and secure access to the public cloud, be it AWS, Azure, or Google. And last but not least, fire life safety line replacements. Traditional LEC-based POTS lines are increasing. It's a big part of our business. We manage tens of thousands of traditional lines, and unfortunately, we see the cost going up. There's many situations where we're taking customers that have, LEC-based phone service, and they're paying north of $100 each. So we're seeing the cost go up and up and up. Also, new site challenges. I'm sure a lot of people on this call have experienced, new facilities opening up. Everybody has, requirements from a fire life safety perspective, and they don't necessarily build the copper facilities in there. And a lot of times you don't even know until a few days, sometimes before you're opening. So NHC came up with a solution called POTS in a Box. This is a fully compliant solution that we can typically get deployed in usually under 30 days. All right, great. So this wraps it up. Appreciate everybody's time, and I'm going to hand it back over to Gerald before we get into the Q&A.
Fantastic. Thank you both for the great presentation there. Let's open the floor up to questions here. To kick things off, tell us a little bit more about what you're offering in Canada. What are some of the products and services that you offer there?
Sure, I'll grab that one. So Canada's new for us. We will be offering our full stack solution there. So we'll be able to give the access like I spoke about, but same thing for unified communications, SD-WAN, security, and like. So we'll continue to grow those relationships, adding more and more access providers. But you can actually get the full stack of solutions, very similar to that second case study that we spoke about.
Fantastic, thank you. Next question about secure eFax. Can you give us a couple of examples of secure eFax applications?
Yeah, I'll take this one. Yeah, so where we see those applications, and it's very important, would be any of the medical stuff. So hospital environments, I don't know if anybody's ever had to fax or anybody wanted to send their medical records from one doctor to the next. The doctor can't accept email, they can only accept faxing. And that secure fax is part of their entire business. So we see the hospitals, doctors, anything to do with medical being HIPAA certified as being a very important thing for us to be able to offer. And we have all of those sort of certifications with our eFax partner to be able to do that. We also see this with legal. Again, same kinds of requirements, legal and financial as well, in terms of privacy and maintaining that. But we're also seeing this now, emerging with local, state, and federal government. And we have also just recently won the Massachusetts latest communications bid. So this is the service that we will be offering to governments off of the government contract in Massachusetts. And we're kind of really excited about being able to do this. We've been an eFax provider for probably 15 years. This is now an offering that we now have with the secure eFax. And we see this as being a great opportunity for our agent partners.
Great, thank you, Glenn. Next question. I know that the agent community is so important to your overall mission at NHC. Why do agent partners prefer to work with NHC? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure, I'll grab that one. So that's a great question. So, Glenn talked about a lot of this stuff earlier. First and foremost, we're 100% partner driven. That's important, right? So there's not a lot of competition. A lot of competitors and people within this industry. Sometimes you have to compete with direct sale and partner sales. That doesn't happen at NHC. Also, we try and simplify things. The stack solution, the stack story is a real easy thing for a partner to understand, right? So especially a newer partner that's getting into the business that maybe doesn't necessarily know always where to go, they always have a safe place to come at NHC. We'll typically be able to find a solution for them. And there's also been lots of times where we directed partners to other places to go because we knew we weren't necessarily the great fit. And then also Glenn mentioned our competitive churn. It's less than half of 1%. So when someone writes an order with NHC, they know they're putting their business in a very safe place, somewhere where we know we're going to take care of that client for a very, very long time.
All right, fantastic. I think that should wrap things up here. Big thank you to Glenn and Eric, to the entire team over at NHC, and of course to all of you for spending some time with us this afternoon. Head over to channelvisionmag.com/webinars to access this presentation on demand, and stay tuned for a follow-up email from ChannelVision with a link to the presentation. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you next time. Take care, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.